Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ask Abby Live, where we do our best to answer all of your questions, answering all of your questions about finances, credit, and debt. So, today we have a great show for you on Ask Abby. We are talking about during all the current changes in the economy and the environment, what should or shouldn't you be doing with your finances? So, there are a lot of different things you can do out there to improve your financial situation, and we're just going to simplify it. What are three things you should do right now, and what are three things you shouldn't do right now with your finances? So, those are the two big questions we're going to answer for you today. We have some great opportunities for you to go back if you do have questions about some other topics. We've had some great topics. Last week we talked about spring cleaning your finances. Everybody, a lot of people are home right now or following social distancing protocols. So they're just spending more time at home, cleaning out closets, cleaning out drawers, cleaning out pantries. So we thought it would be a good idea to take a look and analyze and clean out your finances. So we have a little bit of info on how you can do that in today's show. Definitely go back, watch last week's show if you missed it. But today we're talking about the three things you should do and the three things you should not do right now, especially when there's a pandemic going on and the economy is being affected. So, unfortunately, a lot of people have seen changes in their employment status. So, in fact, in April, the US Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the unemployment rate rose to 14.7%. So that's pretty high. It rose significantly in April versus in March. The good news is that a lot of people are furloughed, meaning they are expecting to get their jobs back when all these things kind of settle down. A lot of those are a good portion of them are hospitality or restaurant employees. And because those industries slowed down significantly due to social distancing protocols, those people have been furloughed. So the unemployment rate is up. If you do find yourself unemployed or furloughed for the time being, we have some great tips for you today. So the number one tip, and we talked about this a lot last week, what is to spend the time and analyze your finances. So I'm going to put down in the comment bar the link to last week's Facebook Live video. So if you missed it, go check that out. We dive in super deep into some of the things you should be looking at with your finances. Things like, where can I save money right now where I haven't been able to save before? So the link is in there. If you have any questions about that, throw them in the comment button. I will answer them. So what does it mean to analyze your finances? What that means is taking a look and breaking down your spending and your income. So any income, regardless of that, if that's unemployment income at this point or your job. So taking a look exactly how much income do you have every month and where's that money going? So right now, things probably look a little bit different for everybody in their budgets. And if you're spending more time at home, you're likely spending less on things like fuel for your car because you're not driving around so much. You're probably not commuting to work. And even just normal everyday, trips to the grocery store have lessened. So your fuel is less and your groceries are probably more expensive right now. Your grocery bill, if you're not eating out, has probably spiked a little bit. So taking a look at those finances and what your budget is looking like is a great way to analyze your finances and then reallocate those funds and redo your budget. So if you're looking at your budget and you're thinking, wow, last week I spent X amount of money, or last month I spent X amount of money at the grocery store, and this week that went up. Well, chances are that's probably true. And if your expenses for your groceries went up, maybe expenses somewhere else went down, or maybe they can go down. So that's what we talked about in last week's, is how to save a little bit of money here and there. So things like subscriptions, if you're curious about how to save money in your subscription services, like streaming services, health and beauty products, things like that, definitely watch that video. We dive into how you can save some money. So after you take a look at your finances and you know exactly what you're spending, where you're spending it, and where you need to make adjustments, take a look. And if you have any extra, now is a great time to start an emergency savings fund. So that's the number 2 do. So we've got first step is analyze your finances right now. Take a look, break it down. Number 2 is start that emergency savings fund. So what does that mean? That means having 3 to 6 months, sometimes some people might even need 9 months of emergency savings funds that allow you to survive on that fund if you run into any trouble like losing your job or being unexpectedly furloughed. Right now, you might already be in that situation and maybe you didn't have an emergency savings fund set up. And that's okay. There are tons of relief options out there right now, whether it's paying your bills or your mortgage. Definitely just contact your lenders. So that's number 2 is take any extra, even if it's $10 a month, or, instead of that money that you used to be spending on your health and beauty products like your hair and your nails or your landscaper, things like that, you might be able to save some money and put that towards an emergency savings fund. Any amount helps in that. So that way, if you do run into trouble and you need a little extra, it's there. I have a great article for you about how to start an emergency savings fund to prevent debt. That is in the comments bar. So check that out, read that. It's on our website. We've got some other great resources for you there too. So definitely check out how to start an emergency fund if you don't have one already. And there's some tips in there on growing your emergency fund as well if you need to do that. So we've got 2 so far of your to-dos. I hinted at the third one, and that is to call your lenders, creditors, and servicers if you think you might be facing trouble. There are relief options for just about every type of credit that's out there, whether that's your credit card bills, your mortgage, your car payments, student loans. There's some sort of relief option out there for every single one. The biggest thing you can do right now is just communicate with your lenders. For example, student loans, federal student loans right now are deferred until September 30th. Your payments and even your interest won't be accruing right now. That's for federal student loans. So right now, you don't actually have to contact your creditors under those circumstances. Your federal student loan servicer has automatically deferred those payments for you. That being said, if you have private student loans, you should call that private student loan servicer and see if there are options if you might want to defer or need to defer that payment. So many different, even some states have put statutes in place that combine a bunch of different student loan servicers, private student loan servicers, and they've all agreed to some sort of relief program. So check out your state, either look at your district attorney website or just your state government website, and you will likely find information on that if you do have questions. The same goes for mortgages and credit card creditors. So those lenders, those creditors, most of them have options for you available if you do need to look to defer or go into some sort of forbearance for those payments. A lot of them have either reduced or removed fees that would normally be in place for those deferments. So if you do have questions, definitely call your servicers. The biggest thing with this is, even with all the different protections for consumers right now in the CARES Act, we've talked a little bit about that. Even with all those different protections, the best thing to do is just contact your lenders if you know you're going to miss a payment. The biggest reason is that while there are protections out there, a lot of them are doing more than just not giving you penalties for missing your payment. A lot of them are deferring them or allowing some sort of forbearance on those payments. So understand your options by calling them or visiting their website. Hold times are pretty long right now for a lot of creditors and lenders. You can spend a lot of time on the phone waiting to speak to somebody. So check out their website before you call. There might even be an option to do it all online. So definitely take a look, see if there are options out there. And if you have any questions on some of the other opportunities, please feel free to ask. So those are our 3 big to-dos for this certain circumstance. During a pandemic, things change, environments change, lifestyles change, the economy changes. So definitely analyze your finances, reallocate finances to any extra to an emergency fund, or start an emergency fund. We've got 2 great links for you in the comment bar if you do have questions on those. You can dive in a little bit deeper. There's a great video, my last week's Ask Abby show, or a great article if you'd like to read that. The other thing is to communicate with your lenders. Go to their websites, see what options you might have. So those are your 3 big to-dos. Now, what are the don'ts for right now? There are a few that you definitely should be aware of and when you're making certain decisions and changes in your finances. The biggest one, number 1, is do not panic. When the stock market is fluctuating and grocery stores have new rules as far as how many groceries, how many items you can buy of a certain thing, there are a lot of changes in the environment right now, in the economy. So the biggest thing you can do is don't panic. Sit back, take a breath, take a look at what's actually happening in your county, because what's happening in your county or city might be completely different than something that's happening across the country. So take a look at what your specific circumstance is. You know, some places might be facing some sort of meat shortage, whereas your county might not be. Same goes for produce, things like that. The biggest thing right now is don't panic. And with that in mind, the second thing you should not be doing right now is overbuying. And that goes for both like fun online shopping and grocery shopping. So those things that you need. We all know that toilet paper is a big one. It's been hard to find toilet paper out there. So the biggest thing right now is buy what you need, don't buy more. You don't need to have a year's supply of canned goods or toilet paper or water. Having about 10 days of those kinds of supplies is the best way to not only be prepared, but also to allocate your finances. Because if you go and you spend hundreds of dollars at the grocery store and you actually don't end up needing all those supplies right away, you could use those funds somewhere else, like your emergency savings fund. So just be aware of the things that you're buying and what you actually need. Things like household goods, like cleaning products. You don't need to overbuy those. Have enough to properly sanitize your household and make sure that you have enough for your family size or your household, but don't over purchase and overspend on those things. The other big thing right now is there are a lot of sales going on online because so many stores are closed. So they are offering these great deals and these great sales, and it's really easy for consumers to get caught up in a whirlwind of online buying. Really try to avoid doing that. That's our second don't, is don't overbuy or overshop online. So things online, coupon promo codes, they're all great ways to get sales. The biggest thing right now is don't spend where you don't need to spend and allocate towards your emergency fund when the economy is fluctuating the way it is. So we've got 2 for the don'ts. We've got don't panic and don't overbuy or overshop. The third one out there that we would like to make sure everybody is aware of, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the Ask Abby show, is don't fall victim to scams. There are so many scams out there right now that are specifically coronavirus related that can really cause some damage in both your financial life and your personal life, because people are especially vulnerable right now, and it's possible in that circumstance for hackers and scammers to get a hold of your personal information and use that to either open accounts or just get any of your personal information from you. So be sure you're aware of that. To dive into some of the specific scams that are going out there, check out the link that I just put in the comment bar. That's a link to the Ask Abby show I did on Facebook Live. I think it was 3 weeks ago. So check out that link. I actually talk about a specific example where I was targeted for a scam. So check it out. Make sure that you're aware. The biggest thing with scams right now is know what's going on and talk about it. So if you've been targeted, if you've heard of somebody who's been targeted or even fallen victim to some of these scams, make sure that you're aware of what's going on. The more we talk about it, the less likely it is for your friend or neighbor or family member to become a victim or be targeted by these scams. So definitely watch that video. That's our third big one. There are other things that you can be aware of right now as well. Things like travel plans. If you have travel plans that are now canceled because of social distancing regulations, most travel companies are offering some sort of credit or refund for that trip. So definitely take a look and see what options are out there if you've missed a flight. A lot of the major airline websites have information on their site, so you don't even have to sit on hold, because hold times for similar to creditors for travel companies are extremely long right now. So that's another thing you can do is be aware of your options if you had travel plans. Here's another don't make travel plans if you don't have to. If things have started to slow down in your area as far as coronavirus cases, maybe travel restrictions have opened up a little bit, and that's a different situation. But if you are planning a trip and there are still restrictions in place, the best thing you can do right now is hold on to those funds and save that money, put it into your emergency savings or your savings account, and just be on hold until you're for sure that it's safe and practical to go on that trip. Rather than having your money sitting as in a credit in an airline account or a cruise account or a hotel account, it's better to just have that in your bank account. So those are a couple of other things to do. Just to recap, if you're just tuning in, we've talked about the do's and don'ts right now. 3 simple things that you can do or not do to be prepared with your finances. The 3 things you can do are analyze your finances, and there's a link up at the very top of the comment bar with things that you can do for analyzing your finances, how you can reallocate some of those funds and even save some money. The second thing you can do is start or grow your emergency savings fund. Another great article in the comment bar if you have questions about that. And the third thing you can do is talk to your lenders, creditors, and servicers. The don'ts that we talked about. Number 1 is don't panic. Take a deep breath. Don't overbuy or overshop, and that can cause debt to build. So avoid doing that. Avoid building your debt. So don't overbuy or overshop. And the third is don't fall victim to scams. The way you do that is to be aware of the scams that are out there. And then we talked about travel plans. So do understand your options for travel plans and don't book travel plans that aren't necessary. So that's our show today, everybody. We will be back next week with another great topic. If you have any questions, you can email me at askabby@creditanddebt.org. Email me questions, send me a message on Facebook, comment in the comment bar if you have questions about anything that we can answer for you, anything financial, credit, debt, savings, anything like that. We are here to answer your questions. If you do need financial help, check out the live video I did with an interview with Jennifer Rodriguez. She works for credit.org. It's a nonprofit credit counseling agency that can provide free credit counseling for you, analyze your budget and things like that. So check out that live. I'll put the link in after I get off. But definitely ask us questions if you have them. Our goal is to get you the credit you deserve. So That's what we talk about. That's what our goal is. And if you have questions on how we can help you, please don't hesitate to let us know. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.